Blaze Bernstein was not the kind of person to vanish. A bright, creative college student home for winter break, he was loved by everyone who knew him. On the night of January 2nd, Blaze received a message that seemed innocent at first. It was from Sam, someone he hadn't seen in years but recently reconnected with. Sam wanted to meet up at Borrego Park. Blaze always open to catching up with old acquaintances. Agreed. He told his parents he'd be back in an hour. But that hour turned into a night, and then a haunting silence. His phone stopped responding. His location couldn't be tracked. By morning, panic set in. Blaze's parents reported him missing. Flyers were printed. Social media exploded with appeals for information. Friends and family began retracing his steps, starting with the mysterious Sam. But something about Sam felt off. He hadn't been close to Blaze in school. Why reconnect now? And why meet in a dark, isolated park so late? As the police launched their investigation, Blaze's last known message, heading out, be back soon, became a chilling reminder of a night that changed everything. When police questioned Sam, his answers raised eyebrows. He admitted picking Blaze up that night and driving to Borrego Park, but his version of events was vague. He claimed Blaze simply walked off into the trees and never returned. There were no visible signs of struggle, no witnesses, no surveillance footage from the dimly lit area. Sam didn't seem panicked or distraught. In fact, his calm, detached tone unsettled the officers. He described Blaze as a friend. Though those close to Blaze disagreed, they barely kept in touch. Detectives noticed something else unusual. Sam had scratches on his arms. He explained them away as injuries from gardening. But the timing felt too convenient. As the investigation progressed, Sam's online presence became a key focus. What they found disturbed even the most seasoned detectives: dark, violent posts, hateful ideologies, and graphic drawings that hinted at a twisted state of mind. While Blaze's family held on to hope, suspicion around Sam deepened. Yet without a body or solid proof, the case stalled for now. But someone knew more than they were saying, and someone, somewhere, held the key to unraveling the truth about Blaze's disappearance. 3 days had passed since Blaze vanished, and the search intensified. Volunteers combed the nearby woods, drone teams scanned aerial views, and search dogs traced faint scents, all leading back to Borrego Park. Then, on the 6th day, a breakthrough. One of the cadaver dogs signaled near a shallow patch of disturbed earth, just off a narrow trail. The spot looked recently tampered with loose soil, scattered leaves. Investigators moved quickly. As they dug, a terrible truth was unearthed. Blaze's body, partially buried, showed signs of a violent attack. The grief that gripped his family was unspeakable, but with discovery came determination to find justice. An autopsy revealed multiple stab wounds. The injuries were deliberate, targeted, and brutal. Whoever did this harbored deep rage. Detectives returned to Sam, this time with sharper eyes and tougher questions. He denied everything, even as the evidence began pointing toward him, and his stories shifted subtly, and his emotionless tone now screamed guilt. Meanwhile, Blaze's parents made a public statement. Our son was more than a victim. He was a light, and that light will not go out without answers. What was once a missing persons case was now a murder investigation, with Blaze's murder now confirmed. Detectives re-examined everything Sam had ever touched. A search warrant was issued for his home. What they found was as revealing as it was chilling. Hidden in a drawer beneath his bed was a leather-bound journal, filled with disturbing sketches, handwritten rants, and what appeared to be personal manifestos. Each page painted a portrait of a deeply troubled mind. Sam had written about cleansing the weak, purging those who pretend to be kind, and worst of all, there was a direct reference to Blaze's name. One line sent chills down investigators' spines. He smiled like he knew I wouldn't let him leave. It was the kind of evidence that prosecutors dream of: motive, mindset, and a personal connection to the victim. But Sam's defense claimed it was all fictional, just dark, creative writing. Still, the journal, along with his digital history filled with hate-fueled forums and violent memes, painted a pattern of obsession and detachment from reality. The community that once watched Blaze grow now watched his alleged killer unravel. But the big question remained: why Blaze? Why that night? What truly happened in those final moments? Answers were close, but more horrors lay ahead. Blaze's friends began speaking out, shedding new light on Sam and his eerie behavior even before the murder. While Sam insisted they were friends, most who knew Blaze disagreed. According to classmates, Sam had always been an outsider. He was withdrawn, often mocked for his strange drawings and bizarre opinions. Blaze, by contrast, had always been kind, the type of person who didn't mock the misfits but tried to include them. Some believed Blaze had once shown Sam basic kindness in high school, maybe even helped him during a rough patch. But what Blaze might have seen as a passing moment of compassion, Sam had misinterpreted, or worse, fixated on. In private messages recovered by police, Sam had reached out to Blaze multiple times before their meeting, often with cryptic and obsessive language. Blaze replied politely, even hesitantly, as if unsure of how to respond. One message stood out: "You don't remember what you did for me, but I do. I won't forget. Ever." The more investigators dug, the more it became clear. This wasn't a spontaneous act. It had been brewing for years, a warped sense of loyalty, turned lethal, and Blaze never saw it coming. Security footage from a nearby gas station finally helped piece together the night Blaze vanished. Just an hour before his phone went dark, cameras captured Blaze and Sam pulling into the lot. Blaze stayed in the car while Sam went inside, and that 45-second clip told investigators volumes. Blaze appeared nervous. He glanced around constantly, fiddled with his phone, and seemed tense. When Sam returned, he handed Blaze something, possibly a drink, and the two drove off. The timestamp matched Blaze's last text to his parents. Heading out, be back soon. That would be the last anyone heard from him. Police reconstructed the next 30 minutes using traffic cameras and GPS logs from Sam's car. His route wasn't a direct path to the park. It was winding, unusual, like someone buying time or rethinking a plan. And then, Sam's phone mysteriously went offline for nearly 2 hours, the exact window when Blaze was killed. By the time Sam's phone came back online, he was already far from Borrego Park. For detectives, the timeline now painted a clear picture. But prosecutors needed one thing more than theory or suspicion: cold, hard proof, and they were about to get it. Days after Blaze's body was discovered, forensic teams returned to Sam's car for a second, deeper inspection. The first search had yielded nothing damning, but this time, they came equipped with luminol and patience dot in the trunk. Under the lining and tucked into a corner panel, they found a dried bloodstain invisible to the naked eye. Lab results confirmed the match. It was Blaze's. Alongside the stain were fine traces of soil identical to that from Borrego Park's crime scene. Sam was arrested immediately, but even in custody, he remained eerily composed. He showed no remorse, no emotion. During questioning, he stared blankly, answering only in vague fragments. He was supposed to understand, he muttered once, but he laughed. Prosecutors now had motive, opportunity, and physical evidence. Yet Sam's defense team insisted the blood got there some other way. A cut, an accident, an innocent ride gone wrong. But no jury would ignore the journal, the online hate, the GPS trail, and now, the blood. Blaze's parents attended every hearing, staring at the man who stole their son. Justice felt close. But behind Sam's silence, detectives feared something darker still lingered, something they hadn't uncovered yet. Just when investigators thought they had all the answers, a digital forensics team found a hidden encrypted folder on Sam's laptop. It had been concealed behind layers of code, but once cracked, what lay inside deepened to horror. Dozens of files. Some were journal entries, darker and more graphic than anything found before. Others were drawings, depictions of violence, bodies, and what seemed to be pre-planned scripts for acts of revenge. One document, dated 2 months before Blaze's murder, was titled simply, The Offering. It described luring someone kind, someone pure and unaware, to an isolated place under the illusion of reconciliation. The steps mirrored Blaze's final night: contact, meeting, isolation, silence. The file ended with one chilling line: "Only through the end can I be seen." Sam had meticulously planned everything. This wasn't a spontaneous crime. It was ritualistic, symbolic, perhaps even a fueled quest for control or identity. Prosecutors now knew they weren't just dealing with a murder, but a manifesto brought to life. As the trial neared, the public watched in horror. Blaze's death wasn't random. It was calculated, chosen, and Sam had been waiting for this moment all along. The courtroom was packed. Reporters lined the halls. Protesters stood outside with signs demanding justice for Blaze. Inside, Blaze's parents sat shoulder to shoulder, bracing themselves to relive the worst night of their lives. One painful detail at a time, Sam appeared emotionless as the charges were read: first-degree murder, premeditated homicide, and evidence tampering. He pled not guilty. The prosecution wasted no time. They presented the journal, the encrypted files, the route logs, and forensic evidence. A digital forensic expert walked the jury through the offering document, making it clear this murder was methodical and deeply intentional. Witnesses took the stand. Blaze's friends recalled his kindness. A park ranger testified about the disturbed soil. A criminal psychologist explained Sam's writings as signs of narcissistic delusion and violent ideation. The defense tried to argue mental illness, that Sam's journals were fiction, his mind fractured, but the facts were too strong. The trailed astray. In closing arguments, the prosecutor's voice cracked. Blaze wasn't killed by a monster. He was killed by a man who chose to bury his humanity. The jury left to deliberate. Outside, a community held its breath. Would justice finally be served? The jury took less than 5 hours. When they returned, the room fell silent. Sam stood without flinching as the verdict was read: guilty. On all counts, gasps echoed through the courtroom. Blaze's mother wept quietly, holding her husband's hand. After weeks of reliving their son's murder, they finally had justice. The judge delivered a scathing statement before sentencing. He called Sam calculated, remorseless, and a danger to society, and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But for Blaze's parents, no sentence could ever replace what was lost. They spoke after the hearing, not with anger, but with grace. Blaze believed in kindness, even to those who didn't deserve it. That's who he was, and that's how we'll honor him. They launched the Blaze Bernstein Foundation, dedicated to promoting mental health awareness, combating hate, and supporting families of violent crime victims. His light, they vowed, would never be dimmed again. Sam was led away in handcuffs, expressionless as ever, but outside the courthouse, candles were lit, stories shared, and tears shed, not for how Blaze died, but for how brightly he had lived, and his story continues to inspire.